The great Carl Gustav Jung had a metaphor about a wounded healer, in that our own wounds bring us to psychology and our own sufferings. And only the person who has come to an awareness, who has processed them, so-called licked them, can heal others. I find it hard to disagree. I was born and spent the first years of my childhood in Armenia. My parents met while doing their exams at the Moscow State University. They liked each other instantly, two educated, good-looking and young students. Soon after my birth, my mother learned that a year prior to their wedding, my father had a fleeting affair, which resulted in the birth of a daughter. Anyways, my mother did not disclose to my father and even secretly financially supported this family. Maybe it was the first crack in their foundation, which later destroyed their marriage. It's difficult to understand how it all began. My parents divorced when I was 3 years old. I stayed with my mother and my stepfather. A handsome man, a champion gymnast, great looking, and I can understand why my mother was attracted to my stepfather in that grayness of the Soviet Union, compared with my father, a young scientist. My stepfather was embodiment of success and charisma. Unfortunately, he had one big problem. He was a heavily drinker. My mother, while trying to save him, started drinking with him, which very soon became an addiction. They did not have time for my upbringing. We lived in a communal apartment. It's difficult to explain someone from a free world how communal apartment looks like. So imagine a long 25-meter corridor with doors to the rooms on both sides. One room per one family. I remember that my life was surrounded with swearing, squabbling, and shortage of everything. But most of all, I remember that my parents were always busy with themselves, alcohol, strange people in dubious companies. My father lived in the other city. I never complained, never told him anything, so I found it shameful.
Naira never told me, but once it happened in Armenia when I realized that, yeah, this is part of her life. She was 4 or 5 years old. My friends came over, we sat at a table. The first thing Naira said, please don't drink vodka. You know, and then my heart just... We know I'm here, she is here, and that's the main thing.
Since 3 years old, I had a feeling that I'm alone in this world and I can rely only on myself. Melancholy and loneliness make us grow faster. Since then, relying on myself is one of my strongest characteristics, and who knew that it would be so important for me later. And I was always dreaming of leaving this boredom and this hopeless and grayness of my life. So I was dreaming of living in a bright and wonderful world, and I knew that it existed. Maybe all these subconsciously pushed me to get acquainted with my husband. I was 14 when I met him. I was coming from school and I was just a kid, romantic kid, and he was 12 years older. He came to me just on the street and he really scared me, and he started speaking about his family, his brothers. He was Armenian, and it's Armenian tradition. First you speak about your family. And he called me once in half a year, just asking how I am, how is it going. So later, when we married, I learned that he was waiting until I become 16 years old. We started living together, and everyone was shocked. My parents, my relatives, my friends, classmates, and teachers, because somehow I was sending wrong signals to others. But I was absolutely happy, because I was able to leave the quagmire that I lived in and finally to start building my world with a person who I loved. In the USSR, there was a shortage of everything. So my husband, he had many friends, and he was connected with foreigners who came to the USSR, and they brought popular customer goods. He purchased those goods and he resold them. In the free world, it's called business, but that time in the USSR it was considered a crime. But I knew that my husband, he was not a criminal, he was just a person who desired good life for his family and for me. But 2 years later, when Soviet Union changed into Russia, almost in one day, people who were selling, people who were involved in business, they become respected people. And my husband, for the society, he turned from crime guy to a respected businessman. Inspired by this freedom, my husband, he started opening one business after another. We were happy like kids. I remember what we did with our first $5,000. So we divided into two parts, and then we went to the best and the biggest kids store. We agreed to meet in 3 hours with our purchases. So in 3 hours, we came with bags full of toys. He came with cars, electronic toys, with Lego and something like that boys like. And I came, my bag was full of toys, doll toys, dresses, and everything what I was dreaming, what I never had. So, and it was a great experience just for both of us to relive our childhood that we never had. To assist my husband in his business, I completed accounting courses, and we were going together to business meetings. It was one day in December 1995 when he was planning to conclude a major transaction, and I should be there with him. But somehow my aunt, who was always babysitting our children, she was not available this evening, so I stayed at home, and my husband went to that meeting with his friend, and he never came back. They found him on January 20th. It was almost 1 month later they found his body. And that day, so I brought my kids to kindergarten. My mom was at home. At that time she stayed with me, so to support me. And I came home and she was looking at me and she was crying. And and she told me, she just told me what happened, and she just got called and she said that they found his body, and that's it. So I didn't expect it. I mean, I had hope, and that's it. And then, you know, because police was still not sure because he was shot, and they were not sure that it was his body. So I needed to come and to see, you know, if it's him or not. And I remember when I came there, I was scared and I asked you to support me. But when I came into this room and I saw his body, and there was no fear. I just realized that this him, and I told doctor that I'd like to stay here with him. That time, first time I started smoking, and you know, and I smoked for 7 years. And I took knife. A knife was here, my cigarettes were here, and I was thinking that, you know, there is no meaning for me in this life anymore. So at the age of 23, my world was destroyed, and I stayed with 2 children of, my daughter was 5 years old and my son was 3 years old. And I needed to take care of them. I did not want to leave, but then I realized that I should do it just to accomplish something what their father wished for them. So I assumed the role of a father, and I decided that I would live for the 2 of us. I opened my first business, but then I realized that it's important to know the law to be successful. So I went to law school to become a lawyer. Because it was the fastest way for me to earn money for my kids. I needed to know laws of the country, to understand what I can do as a business person, what I cannot. So that was my motivation for the law school. And there were different kinds of people who wanted your business and your money. Police, government, and mafia. So that's why I had many friends from mafia, because I first of all, as a lawyer, I helped, I did something for them, you know, if they needed me. And it was some kind of exchange. They supported me, I mean, they protected me. That's why my experience, you know, I was sitting with guys who had guns, guns here and we were talking about money. I even had a case once. They said, okay, if you will bring us information about other people, then you will be safe. We will not do anything bad to you. And I said no. I realized that I'm in danger if I will say no, but it's out of my values. I said no. When you do everything in your life, in business, just like you follow your heart, but you follow your values, and people will respect it. Even if they don't agree, but they will respect that you believe in them. And my values are very clear, just I don't wish bad to anyone. I remember all the while psychology began to fascinate me. And as an intern, while on my building the career of a criminal lawyer, I was attending court, and there was one trip to the court that convinced me of changing my path. I remember that day, so there were 4 kids. 2 of them were 16 years old and 2 of them 18. So they stole something, just something small, maybe even, just chocolate in the store. But, for the law, there is no difference. If you steal, you steal. It was so sad because they each got 8 years. I was crying for a few hours. I was crying about them. I was crying about their youth, about something that they lost forever. Because as a lawyer, I knew what was the prison. And I looked at their faces. They were just kids. They did not realize, first of all, what they did. They did not realize what's to come. Because I've been in prison as a lawyer and I saw how it works, and I know that when you go after that you come another person. I just don't want to be involved in these games. I want to help people before they will get into this trouble. I had many applicants to my heart, but I was not interested, and I did not marry for a long time. I got a call from Alexei, a man of much difficulties in his own life, an artist, a genius. He called from London, saying that intuitively he just felt he should call. We met once, years before, when my friend brought me into his studio. So I said, fine, if you intuitively felt that you should just call, then why don't just come? The next day, he called from the Moscow airport asking my home address. When we met, he mentioned one thing, that he would just like to create a painting for me. Started painting, asking one thing, just to think about one actual desire. He was putting multicolored layers of paint without knowing that at that time I had 5 actual desires. I wanted my son to successfully finish the first year, to complete the first year in a Canadian university. I wanted to defend my dissertation successfully. I needed my business to stabilize. I wished happiness and greatness to my daughter, and I wanted my mother to be healthy. Surprisingly, 5 gold leaves appeared on my painting, each of which contained abstract symbols. Then when he almost completed my painting, in the center he put big letter V, that stylistically was similar to the last letter of his signature. I know that it was nothing, it meant nothing, but one side of me just wanted to believe in this fairy tale, and I wanted that this artist, this wizard with a palette knife in his hand would never disappear. And this is how he stayed into my life. I was sincerely grateful for Alexei's endless and unconditional support, so I made a decision to reciprocate. I got an education of art manager and became Alexei's assistant, agent and administrator. At that time, after 4 years of application, I got a letter from Canadian Embassy with the words "Congratulations and welcome to Canada." It was a real miracle because it could help me to promote Alexei worldwide. What we think about immigration and what it is in reality are not similar. But the biggest difficulty for me was that I did not speak English. So I was learning English in the school for immigrants. I was always going to church to attend conversation circles. And I found few libraries in different parts of the city where volunteers worked with newcomers. So I met new people, I learned language, and I became familiar with the city because I was traveling a lot. During my first month in Canada, I found a gallery that I was collaborating with. I was participating at first in group events, and after a while I started to arrange my own art shows. What was interesting that I still was able to promote Alexei and to build my business, to develop my business without knowing language. I noticed that there are many other tools besides verbal communication that help us to develop friendship relationships and to communicate. This led me to the idea of creating my own Academy of Social Competency, where I share tips of communication and building relationships. In fact, this is what I teach, because words comprise only a small part of our communication. The rest happens on non-verbal level, through our body language, our ability to listen, our ability to present ourselves, to act in a certain way in the right time and in the right place. Friend here, she's a gallerist, and I remember when I was sitting at her gallery, and she was already my friend, and she shared all the knowledge, and we planned exhibition, and then I saw artist who was knocking her door, so I saw myself in this artist, and I would say that this was the pivotal moment of that, because I saw how I look when I knock the door. Hi, can I talk, you know, so people don't like it, people need message of confidence, message of knowledge, and I think it helped me a lot, just, you know, as if you look at the mirror and you don't like what you see, it means that you should change something. It helped me a lot, and now when I open my studio, so it's very interesting, I have many guest artists who are coming to my studio and they ask me for advice. What can they do just to be successful? And now with my another friend, she's gallerist as well, we are working on a course for the artists. Alexei is staying in Moscow, and I definitely miss him, and at the same time I respect his decisions. But anyways, if you want change in your life, if you want some, if you want to develop, if you want to grow, you should come out of your comfort zone. And this is what was immigration and coming to Canada for me. And I felt, so I remember that feeling, because I, as a psychologist, so I should reflect what's going on with me, so I felt very lonely. I felt even having here, I had my father here and my brother, but I felt very lonely, as if, you know, nobody cares. You just walk on the street, but nobody cares. You are the center of the universe. And you are responsible for yourself, no one else. And another thing that everyone goes through this when we immigrate, you start your life from the scratch. It does not matter who you were in your back country. And I was very comfortable there, I had everything. So, but you come here and you shoot from the zero level, build your reputation, show who you are, not with your words, with your diplomas, that I have a lot, but with your behavior and with your, with your communication, with everything. With each connection, you should show who you are.